Thank you very much indeed. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Through the Keyhole, the show whose premise is premises. You can watch while somebody else does the housework. But meantime, tonight, as always, we've borrowed the keys to two fascinating homes belonging to well-known personalities. And with the help of the beloved Lloyd Grossman, our sainted house detective, we'll be taking a privileged peep behind closed doors. But the question is, whose? Well, to try and answer that question, we have, sitting comfortably in our custom-designed guessing area, looking slightly double-glazed at the prospect, our panel. If life, as some people suspect, is a joke, then our first panelist is the punchline. An author who makes every other writer want to put the quill back in his goose. Or geese. Alan Coram.
Good evening, David.
Graceful.
Very good. Wonderful life.
Our next panellist has appeared on the BBC's Airport Watch and Hospital Watch. Tonight, she's on Neighbourhood Watch. From Going Live, Sarah Green. When our third panellist was at drama school, and they were casting the end-of-term production of Hamlet, and he asked what they'd like him to play, they said, truant. Andrew O'Connor. Well, let me tell you a little bit about the old game there. With the help of these magic keys, we'll be taking a careful look inside two fascinating homes. And that should tell us something, maybe quite a bit, about the person or persons who live there. All our friends over here have got to do is to try and work out who that is. So let's join Lloyd at house number 1 and watch closely, because remember, the clues are there as we go through the keyhole.
Well, at first glance, this looks like a typical victim of the beaching cuts, a sort of stranded branch line railway station. But then you noticed, amidst all the 1930s advertising memorabilia, some rather strange touches, like the whale weather vane and the clasped hands over the door. And the truth is that as you look a bit more closely here, you realize this isn't a railway station at all. It's a fake. Coming up the stairs here, you see a very impressive array of gold and silver discs. So it's someone who has been very successful in the music business. But they're rather oddly combined with this engraving of a neoclassical building. And those are two interests that don't necessarily always go together, pop music and architecture. Certainly, whoever lives or works here is someone who's got a very artistic eye. There's a great 1920s poster, and the room is painted in this wonderful sort of faded neoclassical palazzo color. Now, there is a heap of railway magazines around here, so someone here is quite a train spotter. I don't think bureaucracy is necessarily their strong point, because even though this has been arranged as an office, it's not actually terribly tidy, and it seems that this place belongs to someone who thrives on chaos, maybe someone who's a bit of an anarchist. Well, in this room, we've got another fine neoclassical architectural print and a wonderful red leather wing chair. And this room is rather strange. It's like the study of an Oxford Don on acid. It's the most extraordinary mix of the conventional and the completely crazed. This display case shows a lot of nostalgia for the 50s. There are all these dinky toys, and look here, there's more of an interest in railways. Now, there are lots and lots of albums here, huge collections, so obviously music, once again, is a very important interest. The pictures on the walls here are very exciting, very interesting. They show an original eye. A lot of them are architectural again. And you wouldn't be surprised to notice that the mix of books in the bookcase reflects this rather crazy mix of an interest in pop music and architecture. But look over here, sure signs of someone who's a real bon viveur. A jewelry collection, and a knowledge of sandwiches. Down the staircase, and you come into what looks like the hall of a great stately home, complete with these wonderful Jacobean columns flanking double doors. You throw them open, expecting to come into a grand room, and you've got a rather shallow cupboard, filled with an ordinary jumble of things, guitars, some tapes, some electrical cables, a head on a stick, all rather dull and predictable household items. This is a very attractive bookcase, though, and it has some fascinating books in it, like the 6-volume set on buying a Jaguar. But the longer you look at it, you notice that it is a bit strange, and then you see, written on the spines of these books, this is a clue. It's bleeding, staring you in the face, obviously not written by James Joyce. The way in is behind the bookcase. So you pull one of these handles, and off you go. Well, that's not very welcoming, but this is the center of the musical action. There's a great grand piano here, guitars, keyboards, all sorts of noise-making equipment. So this is where the fun takes place. And fun it is indeed, because this person has a fairly light-hearted attitude towards music. Now, I'm fascinated by this glamorous painting of a motorway, because it shows that this person is really hooked with the romance of travel. Now, here we go into the inner sanctum. This is where all the sounds get put together. A lot of time, a lot of late nights are spent in here. But they never lose sight of the joyous side of music making. There's a wonderful copy of a Matisse painting of people dancing and having an all-round good time. Let's look at the evidence. The love of travel, the keyboard mania, and the rave-ups. Who nearly lives in a place like this? David, it's over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Lloyd. And now, for our home and studio audience, though not for our panel, here's whose studio it is. Alan, it's over to you, as Lloyd would say.
Why is it that whenever I come on this programme, I always get madmen? I never get anybody who lives 2 up, 2 down. It's always someone living in a converted airship or something. I don't mean madman, I mean somebody with more money than sense, although not taste. I think that's quite fun, that place. Very much a studio. He doesn't live there, he works there. And he is involved in travel, and he's collected a lot of discs, and he's made a great deal of money because he can indulge this nonsensical fantasy. And he hasn't quite grown up, because he still likes dinky toys and trains. So he is youngish. Is he entrepreneurial now, more than musical?
Well, he entrepreneurs a bit, but...
The records on the wall were his.
We think so. We don't, I haven't looked closely at them, but that's very likely.
I think it's probably Thomas the Tank Engine who pursues a singing career that I don't know about.
Thomas the Tank Engine is a vitally good thought, but
really?
not entirely on the ball. Sarah.
Someone young enough to be a wild rock and roll raver pianist, but old enough to be a Masonic railway enthusiast. I only say that because of all the sort of heavy architectural thing and the hands across the doorway. There's only one person I know that fits that description, but I think...
One will do.
Do you think... no, Andrew's not had his gag yet, so...
Oh. I'd like a gag because I've got nothing to say, frankly.
Nothing at all, Andrew?
It just except that it's a bit like the Walton's house from the front, I thought, when I first saw it, until I saw the head on the stick.
Was Derek Jameson's head? I wonder why he had Derek Jameson's head on the stick.
Did you think it was Derek Jameson?
Either that or Ken Dodd.
I thought it was Eric Lovett, former MP for Orpington.
It's Orpington Station.
I don't know.
Oh, this is...
No, I don't
and
know.
those
We'll have to find out.
rave-ups. This is
now,
someone...
What sort of person do you think it is, Andrew?
It's someone who likes rave-ups. Is it someone who's a wild child?
That's what the folk agree with.
Well, with the pop industry, that could
head
be
on the end of the stick. What's on the end of the stick? It could have been Vic Reeves, except he's not really a wild child. Could it be someone like...
One person clapped there.
It's Bob Mortimer. No, it's not Bob Mortimer. Not Rick Wakeman.
You're right, it's not Rick Wakeman. It could so easily be Richard Branson if I were right, but it clearly isn't anybody like that. But
You said director...
Writer, composer,
composer,
seller.
singer, actor, actress, models.
If I might coin a phrase, you ought to be there. You'll kick yourself when I tell you. Congratulations on beating the panel. Come through the keyhole, Jools Holland. Congratulations, you beat them fair and square there.
Thank you very much.
Did they sum up your character properly?
I'm trying to think if they did. I think they did. And it was interesting what Sarah was saying about the head on the end of the stick could have been Vic Reeves, because he's in there a lot, and that is his head on the end of the stick.
Oh, it is?
I'd like to make it clear that I'm not the sort of person that would have a decapitated head on a stick. That wouldn't be for me.
No, that is a fake head.
Yes, a fake head.
You
in
want to
every
make
way.
that absolutely clear.
Very much so.
I think that's very important to clear the air on that point.
I want to
don't
know
you?
what those premises were before they were a station, Jools.
They were just derelict garages.
You made them into a station. You didn't find a station.
No.
You created a station.
No, I'm looking forward to getting a railway line next.
Very good.
I can run it somewhere. What I want to know is this, though, is if they'd have guessed who I was, would I have not got a key?
No, the answer is that this show wants to encourage the idea of taking part rather than winning. And so you would have got the key, whatever they say.
Not that I'm trying to go on a lot about the key, but I notice there's these royal symbols on here. Have you had somebody royal on the show? That's what I want to know.
No, the jewellers had somebody royal
I see.
go into their front room, I
fair
think.
enough,
Yeah, so they are royal jewellers.
Right, OK.
That's all right?
Why the
Next question.
why the fascination with collecting the cars, and where does that come from?
I don't know. I only got about 7 or something cars. I quite like trains. I don't know why. Call me
A
strange.
railway enthusiast.
Yes. And
Bit of a
I enjoy
train
a train,
spotter.
yes. I think it's calming, isn't it? It's away from the hurly-burliness of showbiz for a moment when you get on a
You
train.
never travel by train, then? You think it's calm and away from the hurly-burly?
No, I only travel by helicopter, obviously.
But little trains are calm, at least, little ones.
Yes.
Which do you prefer, the actual participating music or doing shows about music? I mean, or
well,
equal?
both are enjoyable. I just did a film in Memphis, which was about music, which was very enjoyable because it's very interesting to see things. And also, it's lots of fun to perform, you know, so it's all enjoyable. And then it all sort of, when you get a key, a golden key that size, it all sort of becomes worthwhile.
It makes the whole, it makes your whole life worthwhile,
Yes,
really,
in
doesn't
many
it?
ways, yes.
In many ways,
yes.
yeah.
I'd like to thank everybody for that.
Oh, it's a humble thing we do, but we're delighted to do it. But you've also got into architecture, haven't you, really? You're quite keen on that now, aren't you?
Yes, I have, and I'm looking forward to building it. Where that little station building is just opposite the Canary Tower, which is the tallest building in London, which is this just enormous building on the Isle of Dogs. In fact, it's the tallest building in Europe, and I was hoping to try and build an opposite one, you know, to match it. Next to that little station. That's my next sort of project I want to try
Oh,
and
that's
get
very
done.
nice. You've designed it, and then you just
Yes,
want to
just
raise
gonna
a bit
pop
of
it up.
capital,
Yes,
probably.
exactly. It's
How
just-
much will it cost, probably?
I don't know, about 4 or 5 billion, I suppose. Something not
I
something
see,
like
so
that.
that-
But then you could have a little bucket on a rope that would go from one to the other, and you could sort of haul yourself across London. I think that'd be quite
That's
nice.
lovely.
They've got that. It's called the Dockland Light Railway.
This man is a visionary. He got there first.
And
though.
to raise the money, you can sell the key.
Exactly.
This is priceless. There it is. It's yours.
The key to the door.
It's
Thanks
yours.
very
Your
much.
dream has come true.
It's true.
Your life's wish has been granted.
This can't be happening to me.
It really is.
I bet they'll say that.
That's wonderful stuff. Jules, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a break. We'll come rushing back. I wonder who's next.